Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin back again, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have some fun here and watch this video done by PraveenMohan. He's got a very popular YouTube channel, and he kind of like incorporates like spirituality with history and architecture and stuff like that. So this one's kind of neat here. This one, he's talking about the Anunnaki, and I'm a sucker for this stuff because I love aliens. And
that's a big our family thing. Our dad's always been into that stuff.
Yeah,
we're into that.
So I think this has something to do with the Anunnaki, depicted in architecture and stuff like that. So we're gonna take a peek at this one and unpack it.
All right.
Hey guys, here you can see a person wearing a pointy conical hat. You can clearly see how his hair ends here, and he's wearing a long conical hat. This is a classic symbol of Anunnaki gods from the ancient Sumerian civilization. But this carving is found in Indonesia, which is more than 5,000 miles away. The name of this temple is Candi Kalasan, and it's about 1250 years old. And you can see more carvings of these figures with conical hats. But right next to them, look at this carving. This immediately reminds us of an ancient astronaut because it has a round, transparent helmet attached to his head, very much like a modern-day astronaut. Today, an astronaut would be attached with a visor just like this. If you see people in various suits, we can definitely see details similar to this carving. You can see this guy has a headgear inside, and there is a giant helmet with a suit outside as well. Was he an ancient astronaut arriving from a different planet? There is one more detail that is crazy here. Can you see this earring? At first, I too thought that this was an earring, but you see on the other side, there is no earring, so it must be something else. And look at the weapon he's holding in his hand. It looks remarkably similar to an anti-tank grenade or a laser gun. Are we looking at an ancient astronaut with advanced weapons? Let's go back to the figure with the conical hat. See what this guy's holding? What is that? He's holding a strange device to his ear, a conical receiver kind of a device, much like the old telephones people used.
Hey, I'm digging the video. Have you seen this yet?
I think I've seen up to this part. This is about as far.
Okay. What's going on here? Are you punking me? Like,
no, I'm digging it, but I think that there's some, in many fields there's to me sometimes some stretches that are made that I don't maybe quite understand.
Yeah.
It'll be like, from this tiny little bone, we get a giant dinosaur or something like that. I don't know everything about anthropology or whatever field it is to like judge stuff like that. But like some of those things, I'm like, that doesn't look like a space helmet to me though. Like, and there's tons of stuff that have depictions of circles around them. Well, if I'm trying to be open-minded here, you would have to try to put yourself into their shoes back in that time. They had no reference for anything, so maybe that would be how you would carve it out. I don't know. Right. What's more fascinating to me is kind of the similarities in the distance between Indonesia and Sumerian. I was so far away, and I'm always fascinated by any type of architecture that we find similarities all over the planet from mass distances away. I'm like, that's interesting. Like, how did that happen? Well, there used to be a monocontinent, right? There used to be, the world was all connected at one point, and then everything split, and that's kind of how they discovered that, was they'd be like, wait a sec, we found this dinosaur fossil
that we found over here in two
Yeah.
different places, and I think that's how they gathered that, maybe.
Yeah.
But true, that is neat that similar things get found all over the place. I'm just saying, I'm just checking in to see what degree to which you're like, oh yeah, ancient spacesuit.
I'm not definitely.
If they found this T-shirt
Yes.
1,000 years from now, they might be like, humans had one eye.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they, with spikes on their head.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
you got to kind of come into this kind of like loosely. It's just for me, it's more entertainment kind of. I'm just having fun with it.
Sure, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yep.
And what is more fancy is that it appears to have a thick, winding cord that is connected to it.
That is interesting.
Mainstream experts will try to dismiss this as a lotus flower, but let me show you how the sculptors carved the lotus flower in the same temple. This is how they showed the lotus flowers in this temple. What this guy is holding is definitely something else. But what is it? I searched online and found a couple of photos where ancient Egyptian gods are also shown holding similar conical devices. It looks very much like a modern day microphone, but I'm not able to authenticate these two pictures. But what we see in this Indonesian temple is definitely reminding us of the same device. Interestingly, the Anunnaki are also shown with the exact same details. They're usually shown with conical hats. The reason for this is unknown, but they're shown again and again with elongated conical hats. On top of that, they're shown holding many weird objects and weapons. But the classic iconography of Anunnaki can be seen in this carving. For some reason, they're shown extending their hands and displaying this mysterious conical object. Is it a pine cone or is it some kind of a conical device? We don't fully understand the meaning of this, but this iconography is repeated again and again in Sumerian carvings. Here you can see an Anunnaki with the exact same beard and mustache holding the conical object, except this carving is found in this Indonesian temple 5,000 miles away. But one carving does not mean anything, right? Exceptions cannot be used as examples. So, as I searched around, I found the exact same depiction again and again in this temple. Is this a mere coincidence? Or was there an Anunnaki presence in Indonesia? The Anunnaki are considered to be an ancient species who arrived on Earth many thousands of years ago. They are credited with civilizing humans and are mentioned in Sumerian civilization, which now exists in modern Arab countries. Did such a species really exist? Did the Anunnaki bloodline mix with humans and extend all the way to Indonesia? Do these carvings in Candi Kalasan Temple really show the Anunnaki? In the central chamber, you can see this carving. You can see this circle in the center, and around it, you can see the small triangles attached on the outer circumference. This is a classic Anunnaki symbol of the sun. What you're looking at is perhaps the oldest carving of the sun, and this belongs to the Anunnaki iconography. You may think that it's only natural for all humans to show the sun like this, but it's not true. For example, Egyptians depicted the sun like this. But in Candi Kalasan Temple, we can see the exact same iconography of the sun. Not only on this side, when I check the other side of the altar, I can see the exact same detail. How can the iconography be so similar to the Anunnaki? This temple's origin is shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists and historians are still trying to understand why such a temple was constructed. For a long time, experts and visitors simply assumed that this was a temple dedicated to Lord Buddha. As you can see, a bunch of carvings of Buddha, and you can also see stupas, which are Buddhist symbols. Then, they found an ancient inscription near the temple which completely turned this upside down. The inscription said that the temple's name was Tara Bhavanam, meaning the house of Tara, not Buddha. Tara is a mysterious female deity and appears not only in Buddhist texts, she also appears in Hindu texts in multiple forms, both as a benevolent form and a fierce form depicted with a lion underneath her. But even more strange, Tara is not only mentioned in ancient Greek texts, but a similar goddess called Ishtar is also mentioned in Sumerian texts. And look at this goddess Ishtar from Sumer. She is shown with a lion underneath with a bunch of weapons on her shoulders. A remarkable similarity to the Hindu and Buddhist deity Tara.
Part of it also makes me wonder whether or not the temple was manipulated because it's been there around for so long. So maybe initially it was set up for the deity. Yeah. And then as the culture became more Buddhist, they were like, oh, let's change the temple up and put some Buddhas on there. Like, I wonder if he's going to mention anything like that. But it's fair to...
Yeah, no, it's not like this stuff like that doesn't happen. Things get built upon, but I feel like there would be some evidence for that, you know? If it's true, it might be like, now this is, you know, there was etchings that reveal that this was an added on thing. You know, if you're using carbon date, I don't know how they decide the age of something.
He also hasn't talked too much about the Anunnaki as, like, beings from another planet.
Yeah.
Is it, like, I wish he'd go... I'd like to see more about that. I'm fascinated kind of about that, but... You know, I've seen similar videos like this where they like show the Anunnaki pointing to like the stars and stuff like that, and like line up planets on the. And so I don't know if they're gonna do that, but yeah, I'm kind of fascinated with that and why. Like, if you were for another being from another planet, like why have these temples made? Were these supposed to be like things that you were worshipped? Did they just come here to be worshipped and then decided, we'll take off and we'll leave? Like,
I'm suspending my critical side a little bit here because I tried to pepper that in a little bit, and I'm like, maybe this isn't the right approach.
Yeah.
So I'm just still watching with an open mind. We got more to go.
All right, let's continue.
But don't forget the sun right next to her, a circle with triangles attached around the circumference. This is exactly what we see in this temple. The Indonesian archaeology department has definitely understood these odd details, which is why you can see this plaque, which clearly says this temple is unique in the entire region and it does not fit in with other Indonesian temples. Archaeologists also confirm that it is one of the first temples to be ever constructed in the region and say the construction began in 778 AD. So even by mainstream accounts, this temple is about 1250 years old. That is very ancient already. But was this temple built at a much older time? Here we see Lord Buddha in a seated position, but that's not what caught my eye. Focus on the top right corner. What is that? It has a long, thick, pointy face and has a long, thick, stout tail as well.
The heck?
I don't have to tell you what it is because I know you're thinking of a dinosaur. It just looks remarkably similar to a dinosaur, right?
That's bizarre.
It cannot be a bird because it's shown with more than 2 legs, and it seems to be holding something in its mouth. Unfortunately, the carving has been eroded, so we cannot accurately find out what it is. but it clearly does not resemble any bird or animal we see today. Is it a dinosaur? Archaeologists say that this entire temple was once covered with a diamond plaster called Vajralepa. We don't know the exact composition of this plaster and how they made this plaster using diamonds. But you can see traces of this on some of the walls of the temple. Look, you can see some traces of this diamond plaster, and you can also see these glittering spots. Are they traces of gold? Why else do we see such golden spots on this plaster? Author Zachariah Sitchin wrote that the Anunnakis came to Earth to obtain gold, and they also used humans to mine gold from the earth. Here's the classic Anunnaki god Ishtar, aka Tara, shown holding a pot. This iconography is supposed to signify not only the presence of gold, but also abundance and wealth. In this temple as well, we can see this stone pot in the main altar. Such pots are carved in ancient Buddhist and Hindu sites and are called kum. And we can see carvings of such pots all over the temple. Is it a mere coincidence, or were these ancient civilizations interconnected? So, why do we see these figures with conical hats? Why is he holding a strange device with a thick cord attached to it? Is this an astronaut from ancient times? Why do we see these bearded figures extending their hands and displaying these pine cones just like the Anunnaki? Was there a connection between Indonesia and Sumer during ancient times? Why do we see the exact same sun symbol carved in this temple? Why is this the only temple dedicated to Tara in Indonesia? Is she connected to the Anunnaki god Ishtar? Why do we see a dinosaur carved on this temple? Is this temple really 1,250 years old? Or was it built at a much older time? What about the traces of gold and the carvings of pots in this temple? Are all these mere coincidences? Or is the Candi Kalasan Temple in Indonesia somehow connected to the Anunnaki gods?
Greatly edited and everything.
Yeah, too many unanswered questions.
I know.
Man. There's like
By the end, I was like,
questions.
I could kind of go for him being like, these cones are hiding a giant skull, and this was alien things. You know, because there's a lot of like, what if, which, you know, I guess that's our karma because we do a lot of. All I'm saying is, what if? We do that all the time, and so now we're getting a taste of it.
Yeah, the pine cone. In spirituality, it usually represents like the pineal gland or something.
Yeah,
and
I
you
was
see
gonna
that
say.
a lot in other spiritual videos and stuff like that.
Oh, Joe Rogan has this. You can find probably out there edited together every time Joe Rogan's talking about how that pine cone represents the pineal gland and how the pineal gland is your third eye, and you know some lizards sometimes have a retina on it. And
well, maybe Praveen's onto something because there was one of those context disclaimers under the video, and YouTube likes to like push you in a direction. And like, I don't, if you're thinking this way, maybe you should think more this way. So
well, that's kind of I don't understand because it doesn't seem what is the danger?
It's threatening.
Oh my goodness!
You're gonna know the truth.
And then the other thing I was gonna say is, don't you ever just want something that's not ancient to show up? Like if there's Anunnakis, like
I'm like, come on, Anunnaki, get here already.
Yeah,
where are you?
If they are real, if there's any truth to this, it's like, well, then come on. Let's see them arrive then.
Yes.
But it is fun to sit and think sometimes. There's a big history of that in our family, sitting around and talking about Graham Hancock books.
Yep, good stuff. Hopefully, you guys, you liked our reaction on this video. Let us know if you want to do more of these Praveen videos. This was kind of fun. Yeah. And if you liked our reaction, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone, until next time, stay spiritual.